Well, welcome to another Inside Lansing, where today's guest is Ken Reynolds, Director of Communications at the Village of Lansing. Thanks for being here today, Ken.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And let's just jump right in. This is the first time we've had you on the show, and you've been the Director of Communications for a number of years now. So we just want to know, what's that position been like for you?
Well, it's certainly been challenging, but also something that I truly enjoy. I started with the village in May of 17 with Mayor Item, and one of the goals of the position has been to kind of see how can we take the dreaded C word, the word we hear a lot about, communication, and how do we take its various forms and be able to get as much accurate and consistent communication to our residents. And then also working with our departments, our department heads and their particular spokespeople to make sure that their messages are getting out as well. So it's been a quick 3 years. It's gone quickly. Having been in public education before that for almost 20 years, you're always communicating. You know, as a former English teacher, that's something that I always stressed in the classroom. And now in this position, you're still dealing with communication on a daily basis, whether it's written, whether it's oral, whether there's just so many different formats that residents are entitled to and that they deserve, and that one of my goals is to try and facilitate that, as regularly and consistently as possible.
Now, you said that you were an English teacher before, and then you moved on to this. So what drew you to this position? I mean, was it being an English teacher, did that help, or were there other reasons why you were drawn to being a communications director?
I think for me, having served public education for 20 plus years and working with elementary, junior high, and high school, I think the next challenge for me was I wanted to serve the village. I've volunteered and been part of this community since I was a teenager, and now being able to serve and give back, this time not only to adults, because children and teens are obviously still affected, but being able to work with the entire village in a way and to give back in that regard, and that's something that I enjoy doing.
We're glad to have you here, and I'd like to talk more about some of the duties that you have. Maybe one of them would be the village newsletter. I know that's something that some people know about, but maybe some people don't. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what are the goals in the village newsletter and where people could get it.
Sure. I think one thing you learn when you're when you're doing it on a daily basis is you think that people have the information that you have. And so one of the goals of the newsletter in particular is to have a quarterly publication that's free to the residents and that encompasses the actual events, the actual accomplishments, and just the daily ongoings that the village has happening. We changed the name. It used to be Village Vision. We kind of changed it to Looking at Lansing. We wanted the name of our town in the title of the newsletter. Yeah. And so we made that change, with our first newsletter under this administration. And it comes out quarterly, like I said, usually March, June, September, and then right before the holiday period starts.
Okay.
And again, as a quarterly, it's mailed to all use EDDM or every door direct mail so that it is sent to.
So you don't even have to go to Village Hall to get it.
Correct. That's another place you can pick it up. We keep multiple copies out in our lobby at the Municipal Center. There are some people who don't get it. They may be out. There could be an address typo. And again, it's not something you're putting an address label on. It's just part of the Postal Service. So that's something, if someone doesn't get it or wants another copy, they can always come to the Municipal Center to get another copy, and then they can review it at their leisure.
And, this is actually not something it's something that you do quarterly. So there's a lot of work and time that goes into that process. And I was wondering, maybe just give us a slight look into what that process is like. What is it like trying to find those stories? Where do you get your ideas? How do you actually make it physical and put it on paper?
What we do is I ask the department heads to provide the information, not necessarily, they don't have to write the articles, but give me the information topics. Again, accomplishments, achievements. It's not always about what we did. It's also the community itself. So, for example, if the chamber, has an event, the Chamber of Commerce has an event that's upcoming, and they send us something, we'll use that. It's not just the Village of Lansing, the municipal government. So I think that's what I like about it. The other thing is we've worked with Dan Bavino, who's kind of become Lansing's resident photographer. He's done a great job and, is just wonderfully just takes so many pictures throughout the community and is willing to share those. And we give him his photo credit, but he just wants to do it. So we created a page called Lansing Through the Lens, which gives people the look at some of our, it could be a moment in time, it could be a business. We have one coming up where he did all of his photos in monochrome. So we changed the title a little bit, Lansing Through the Old School Lens. So trying to give people that blend. I think if it's too text-driven, people tend to not want to read it. But if there's short articles, if there's quick information and then a picture that blends with that or matches up, I think that's the best combination for what I would call a light read.
I think it's great that we had a chance to sit down and just let people know, like, you're the guy who's taking care of that, then you're the go-to on that, and just put a face to who helps put that together.
Yeah, so. It's a technical process. We work with a layout company, and they do a great job, but the proofs and the proofreading of that certainly are time-consuming. As a former English teacher, I'm an English nerd, so if the comma's wrong or the semicolon's wrong or there's things that are off, we're going to get it fixed.
Of course. So moving on to another topic, a new topic, a fresh topic, is this new banner program, the Hometown Heroes. So Hometown Heroes is an idea that came, I think, from our own mayor recently, and it's something that you're leading up. So maybe you could tell a little bit about what Hometown Heroes is, and then also like how people can, if they want to put people into that, get the information out there, how they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing, Lansing is a lot of great things, and one thing that it has always had is a tremendous dedication and support of those that have served in the military and those that are serving. And so if you look at all of the groups we have in town, there are multiple ones that are based around veterans and American Legions and so forth. Those things are incredibly important for the tradition of any community.
So Hometown Heroes is based around our military.
It's based around the military. So what it essentially is that those that are interested in getting a banner, the banner would be for 2 years, and it would be up on the light poles that are in and around the village. And we're working with Public Works to identify every possible one, that we can attach to. And then the applicants would submit, their loved one, whoever that may be, and a photo of that individual. And then that gets turned in by the company based out of Tinley Park that turns around and makes the banners. They're 4 foot high by 2 foot wide. And we are just finishing up designing what that look is going to be. And then we're working with the Chamber of Commerce as well, because the Chamber of Commerce runs their business part of the banner program. And they do that on a 2-year cycle as well. So Clerk Vivian Payne and I met with Amy Todd at the Chamber to say, for the years 2021 and 2022, can we blend this tribute program, banner program, with what they do, which is a fundraiser for them.
Right.
And then traditionally, we want to support our chamber, obviously. So kind of find a way to make this a blended program for that 2-year period.
And right now, you guys are looking for applicants, correct?
Correct, yeah. As of very recently, we now have a brochure and have an application. And I think the most important part is that this is not a fundraiser for the village. The cost is $150 for 2 years, but that cost is basically going into the manpower to put these up, for the production of the banner to the company, so that there's no fundraiser here for us. And then any money that would be left over at the end of the period, the mayor will make that decision to give that money and donate that to some of the various military-related groups and organizations within the community.
Well, I think it's great. Everything that I've heard so far has been about the citizens of Lansing, has been about who are Lansing people, and our veterans, our residents, and I think that that's a really important part of the communication. Mm-hmm. I also think that you guys have a very proactive way of dealing with that. However, not everything in communication is proactive. Some of it's reactive. Mm-hmm. And one clear example of that would be our Code Red program to deal with, unfortunately, emergencies, but it's there because we might need it. So could you talk a little bit about what the Code Red program is and how people might be able to get involved in that?
Yeah, this is a personal one for me. I think as I've sat in this position now for 3 years, what is the quickest and most effective way to get information to our residents? And a big part of that is being able to access them via email or more specifically through texting through smartphones. Now, we clearly understand not everyone uses that technology,
Right.
but it's not going away, and we are trying to embrace it. The Code Red program it sounds like only an emergency notification program, but the biggest message I've tried to get out is that there's a non-emergency feature to this as well.
Okay.
And that if residents go to www.villageoflansing.org and go under the How Do I tab at the top, the pull-down menu will give them the ability to sign up for the Code Red. And you literally customize the account for the messages that you want. Now, it can be a lot of things. We mainly use just texting and email to get messages across and get those to residents as quickly as possible. So if it is an Amber Alert, or if it is something that is a true emergency, obviously, if you sign up for the program, everybody gets those messages. But then as you customize your account, and again, it's free, you can also get non-emergency messages. So a great example is water main breaks. When we get one, the software has the ability to, we don't necessarily need to send that to the entire village because somebody on the south end of town, no disrespect, probably does it. It's not their problem if there's a water main break on the north end of town. So the software allows you to hone in and literally, by a block if you want, just target those individuals to give
that
them
are affected.
Correct. Your water's off, estimated time, crews are on the scene, et cetera. We have found incredible value in getting that quick or instant message to residents.
I think, I can agree. I've been in the position, I think most people have been in a position where you feel helpless and you're wondering, when are they going to come out and turn the power back on? Or when are they going to come out and fix this water main break or do something? And having that type of communication helps to alleviate a lot of those fears and a lot of that anxiety.
Yeah, and I think one of the other features is the robocall type feature. We've shied away from that. I think that the people are really turned off by automated
you think it's a telemarketer when you hear it
and
first
it
thing.
comes up, and however it pops up, caller ID, everybody can screen them.
Yes.
The idea about your phone or even your email is that that's really personal to you. You signed up for it, and it's not bothering. You look at it and read it when you want.
Give them the communication, but they have the option of when they want to read and deal with it.
Correct. I really hope residents will, those that haven't used it, aren't afraid to sign up for an account. There's no charge. There's no big brother invading you. You can opt out whenever you want. But the services that it provides, we've had several residents go out of their way to say, man, that really helps. Thanks.
Well, Ken, I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface here, and I'd love to talk some more about it, but the show only can go on for so long. I don't want to break any records on how long the show is.
That's okay. I know I can be wordy. I wear that badge.
You're the communications.
Yes, I guess so. Maybe that works.
I hope you would be wordy. But I'd like to just ask one more question before we do leave today. Sure. And that is, why is this important in the Village of Lansing? Why is it important to have a director of communication? Why is it important to get information out there?
I think the most important thing is that the word communication is a buzzword in so many various professions. We hear it. You go to professional development, you hear, we've got to do better at communicating. We've got to communicate. That's great, but we've lost, I think, as a society, some forms of communication, exactly what you and I are doing right now, and the ability to to talk things out or get direct answers. And so my goal, and why I think it's important to have this in any village, is how can we be accessible to our residents and our businesses and other municipalities and agencies, and how can we respond to them as quickly and accurately as possible? I think one of the things we've prided ourselves on is that residents, if they call and have a question, they should get an answer. And that it might not be the answer that they always want, but the thing that I have prided myself in the most in this position has been individuals who have said, gee, thank you so much for calling back. And that's, again, it's never perfect. You have 30,000 people or approximately in town, but they deserve those answers, whether it's yes, no, we're going to look into it, we're going to see what we can do for you. And that we need to do that through a variety of platforms,
yes.
Whether that be social media, whether that be websites, whether that be the ability to just walk in and talk to someone. And I think that's my big challenge with communication, is that it has these so many platforms that it can take. How do we stay on top of as many of them as possible so that residents have information to avoid having to call and ask? They can look it up themselves, they
Right.
can find it out.
Of course.
Or if they do want to be able to come in and talk to someone, that we can provide those answers to them in that more old school form. But it's vitally important because we do work for the residents of our village, and we understand we serve them. We need to be able to provide answers. Again, not always the ones they want, but an answer is better than a non-returned phone call, a non-returned email,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Well, it was a great answer, and I'd just like to thank you again for being on the show here today, Ken.
My pleasure. Love the work you guys do and really appreciate working with you guys as well.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.